Well, anytime I've gone into a game plan meeting at the beginning of the week, the coaching staff would always remind us to think about players first, then plays. So when I'm looking at this Colts team, I'm thinking about who's not going to be playing in this game. Marlon Mack, your leading rusher, not going to be playing. T.Y. Hilton, he's going to be in street clothes, not playing. Jack Doyle, not playing. So in an offense that's going to be geared around Andrew Luck and him being able to make plays in the passing game, I don't know who his threats are going to be. I mean, Nyheim Hines, Chester Rogers, Ryan Grant, you guys are up. Yeah. And you're going up against a Pats team that looks like they're starting to hit their stride. And keep in mind, the Colts are coming off an overtime loss to the Texans, and the Pats, a blowout win against Miami, where that game was probably out of doubt after halftime. So, I mean, I'm looking at this situation on a short week. The Colts are traveling to Foxborough. Short weeks always favor the home team. We've seen that this year. All the home teams have won the Thursday night games. So this is an uphill climb for this Indianapolis Colts team. I don't like the fact that they were so dependent on Andrew Luck in that game against the Texans. 62 pass attempts. I don't necessarily know that that's the formula going up against a Bill Belichick coach defense. If you're going to be a one-dimensional offense, you're probably going to be in a lot of trouble going up against Belichick and Tom Brady.
I don't like that they basically just played a 5-quarter game. What did we see? The two games where it was actually a full overtime period. The two games that ended in a tie this year. The
Cleveland-Pittsburgh, week number 1.
And Minnesota-Green Bay, week number 2. Those teams were 0-4 the following week.
Yes.
So Houston and Indy, they was a second short of being a 5-quarter game, right? Like that was, it was the same wear and tear on their body. And they playing on Thursday? Like, none of so you add to the fact that, and to your, I think, very good point, that New England played a full game, but only kind of. Like, they won that game at halftime. So, and they're not traveling, and they're already the healthier team. And you mentioned all the injuries on offense. The guy who's been the revelation for the Colts on defense, Darius Leonard, leading them in sacks, second in tackles for loss, first in overall tackles, he's out. And so, like, you are banged up. You are going to be relying on Andrew Luck incredibly, and I don't know how sore a shoulder gets after throwing 62 times. I would imagine relatively sore. He has obviously come back from a shoulder injury. Now, 96 hours later, their only path to victory, because of the running back injuries in particular, oh, we're going to need you to throw the ball at least 40 to 45 times today. Like, that all signs point to New England doing what they always do in this stadium against the Colts, which is beat them down.
Yeah, to me, it boils down to 3 storylines. The number 1 storyline happens to be the rest and them playing on Thursday after having a fairly easy game. You would have thought New England-Miami is going to be a very, very physical game. And also, I believe that week number 3, we didn't point out there was a tie between New Orleans and Atlanta.
An overtime game.
It went overtime game. And Atlanta comes back the next week, and they lose to Cincinnati. They couldn't stop. They ran out of gas at the end of that game. They couldn't stop Cincinnati. So not only those first 2 weeks, teams losing. Number 2 would be, I believe that Josh Gordon begins to emerge. Last week, we saw him get a little taste, involved in the short passing game. With Edelman coming back, I think they're going to put them both on the same side. Edelman in the slot, Josh Gordon outside, and run some combination routes where Brady can concentrate on that side of the field. Number 3 is, I know Tom Brady personally. People would know him. And there is nothing more upsetting than Tom Brady to be accused of doctoring up the footballs. And that was against the Indianapolis Colts. And I expect him to always, against the Colts, to come out with vengeance. And I expect them to try to rub it in the Colts' face. They do not like the Colts. They felt like the Colts, what they did was dirty pool, and I believe it's going to play out tonight on Thursday Night Football. This one's going to get ugly. If I had money and if I was betting, which I'm not, don't have no money, and I'm not betting, man, I would have to put a little something on the Pats.
I mean, they're 10.5-point favorites for a reason. They're the biggest favorites of the weekend for a reason.
How does Brady use Gronk and Edelman if he has both these guys available and perhaps a few plays with Josh Gordon as well?
Well, I think you're going to use Gronk in some situations where you're going to have him line up as a receiver outside of the numbers, just because I don't think the Colts have anybody that can match up with Gronk. Matter of fact, I know they don't have anybody that can match up with Gronk. Very few teams in the NFL do have somebody on the defensive side of the ball that can pose some matchup problems for the Patriots in that regard. But Edelman has always been that in-between-the-numbers receiver for Tom Brady. He's always been the security blanket. So I do anticipate the timing being off just a little bit, just because they haven't had those live game reps. So there will be a little bit of a curve right there. But, I mean, I look for Edelman to get into the flow of this offense fairly quickly. So I'm looking at this in terms of the Patriots. They're going to be an explosive offensive unit. It's only a matter of time. They'll figure that side of it out. I think the questions that they have are more so on the defensive side of the ball moving forward. But this is an opportunity for that defense to get healthy going up against that Colts offense.
Do you think what we saw last week in Sony Michel, like he's going to be the featured offensive player? Gronk, Sony Michel for New England as they move forward.
Well, I think Sony Michel will be the feature guy with the ground game. Now, James White is still going to be that guy out of the backfield, and you saw that Tom Brady threw that dime in the corner of the end zone to James White. Very special throw. Only a handful of quarterbacks can make that play. But Sony Michel does bring another element to that Patriots offense, and that's what they've been missing. They haven't had a bell cow running back that Tom Brady can just turn around and hand the ball off to take pressure off of him in that offensive line. But if they can get that element of their offense rolling, I mean, look out. This is going to be a tough offense to stop.
The one downfield threat the Colts have is T.Y. Hilton. We know he's out. The way the Colts have moved the ball on offense this year, no team has been more reliant on short passes. Well, how do short passes work? Got to make somebody miss tackles. Who doesn't miss tackles? The Patriots. We can say they're not very fast. They don't have a ton of talent. Like the Colts, Andrew Luck has averaged nearly 30 pass attempts of 5 yards or fewer per game this year. He has the most in the league of what we would call dinks and dunks. That relies on making a guy miss or just bad tackling. That's not something the Patriots are known to do. In fact, it's the opposite. While they might have other weaknesses, they are good at getting guys on the ground. It's just another reason why it's hard to find where the Colts' advantage lie in this game.
And, yeah, the one thing that you did say about that Pats defense, they're not necessarily the fastest group, but they found a way to negate some of the team speed from the Miami Dolphins last week. So that's one of those things you look at and say, okay, maybe this group is starting to come along. But the only path to victory for the Colts is being able to use that short passing game as an extension of the run game and try to shorten this game because you have so many injuries. That's the only chance that they really have in making this a competitive game tonight.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.